Coops, Billy's gone for the hammer over Reece. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I am. Like on face value, I thought Reece would be fullback and Hammer would stay on the wing. And then you start thinking about, why would it have happened? Like initially, Reece Walsh is the most dangerous player in our competition. When he gets front football, space, he can beat any player. So I thought, in a big game, he could win it with one play, one run. And then you think about it, Lomax was isolating Ponga. There was a couple of errors from Ponga on the high ball. That's a tactic in New South Wales. Who's safer on the high ball? Probably Hammer over Reece. And then you think about the halves running the ball. You think about Dearden, Harry Grant and Munster. Who would turn up on the inside and score a try? Hammer would. Yeah. I think Hammer would just see something, preempt it, and know that Munster's going to step off his left foot, make a line break, and he's back under the post. He did it for his 4 tries on the weekend. So there's a few things when you start going below the surface, you go, I can see that. But look, I personally would have gone with Reece, but I can see why Hammer would be the solution.
There's so much respect the way Billy goes about picking his sides, Coops, because he will make really tough calls and unpopular calls if they don't work.
I reckon he trusts his gut. It's a huge thing for a coach to do with all the noise that is surrounding Origin and our game, good and bad, right? But he must sit down and sieve through all the noise and really work through, okay, what do I, as a Queensland Origin coach, want to do? And it worked in Game 2. Let's hope it works for Game 3.
Well, it shows you, Coops, he doesn't necessarily have favourites. He just picks the blokes who he believes are in form and can do the job.
Because you could say that maybe he's had favouritism towards Reece, right?
Because everyone was going, we'll pick Reece. He's a Reece fan. And
what would you have done?
I'm not surprised by it. The reason I thought, he'd go for Reece was because, okay, if you're going to move Hammer out of centre, who are you going to put there? Yep. Which brings us to the man I want to talk about, Shibasaki. Yep. And just well done to him. It's just a perfect example for young players to understand that, and actually, Bellyache, he talks about it in his documentary with Bellyache, that something that Bellyache's dad told him growing up, and he said, son, if you work hard, okay,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible, and you're going to get success. Yep. But he said it might take time, but you work hard, and it's going to happen. And Shibasaki is a perfect example. Since 2018, Broncos, Knights, Cowboys, Japanese rugby, Souths, back to the Broncos. Yep. That's all those clubs in 6 or 7 years. And having a look through the list, he only played 1 or 2, 4 or 5 games here and there. He's really been spread over the place.
Great story. The other reason why I would say that Shibasaki was on the list is if you look at New South Wales in Game 2, that second half they were coming, and every time Latrell or Stephen Crichton touched the ball, it looked like something was going to happen, right? And I feel like Billy's gone, if this is their plan to get the ball to the centres, which it will be, I need a big body. Yeah. Toya has got Latrell, and then, is it Valentine Holmes? Is it the Hammer? Well, Shibasaki is a big body. He's going to be under pressure in an Origin decider in New South Wales, but he's a big body, and when Stephen Crichton comes at him, he's going to physically have to get the job done.
One of the biggest storylines going in, and I just love this, and I'm talking about this from a neutral, from a lover of the game, Josh Papali'i going in. That is, I think it's a masterstroke from Billy.
I do too.
We said this about Kurt Capewell in the second game. Take an old dog for a hard road. Yep. You're going on decider away from home in Sydney. Yep. Pick the big boys in great form.
I suggest there'll be another change to the starting team because of the influence of Papa. I like it. I really do. I think him and Tino up front. I would, if I was Billy, I'd make a late change and start Carrigan. Reason being, you look at the starting pack of middle rotation for New South Wales, it'll be King, Haas and Isaiah Yeo. Haas is hard to handle, but Carrigan, Tino and Papa, I think could physically outmuscle King when he runs a footy and Yeo when they runs a footy. I would say that the presence of Papa was going to ignite something in the Queensland forward pack, and I would run all out to start the game, Carrigan in the front row and go take them on. That's what I'd do.
And if you look at the side that Billy's picked, and you said about Shibasaki, those blokes are emblematic of going to play a really tough physical game.
Yeah, and if you're going to lay the line with Payne Haas or Max King to shift the ball to Latrell or Stephen Crichton, geez, you want to make that as slow as you possibly can, and it needs to be backwards more than forwards. So I just think that Papa's a good move. Tino's going to be inspired by playing alongside of him, and I just think you start the game with Patrick Carrigan. I think could be a good thing.
New South Wales, there was talk that Keon might come in for Stefano. Stefano's kept his jersey, and I like that.
Yeah, I do.
I like that. I like the loyalty there. Carreau's 18th man. Birdo be going, thank God, not 18th man again. He almost got 100 games, just 18th man Birdo. So it's better. It's good for the Dogs.
Yeah. What do you think about New South Wales team and how they play?
Yeah, I like the team. I think there's certain aspects of our game that need tidying up. Of course, the discipline is a clear one. I think that Coops, we've got to get a lot of early ball. We just spoke about this to Crichton and Latrell. We didn't get it there quick enough. And the thing about it is, when you get blokes like, and we saw it the other night with Manly with Tom Trbojevic, when you got blokes like Latrell and Stephen Crichton, you don't have to run really special shapes to create a numerical advantage. Yeah. With those blokes, sometimes you just got to get it to them quick. Yeah. Get them that one-on-one opportunity.
I think this is where the game is won and lost. If Stephen Crichton, Latrell Mitchell, have an impact with, say, 20, 30 touches, they'll set something up and score tries off the back of it. But if Queensland can shut them down, i.e. through Shibasaki and Ty, or the middle forward just stopping the momentum, I think that's where it's won and lost. If Crichton and Latrell play well, Queensland lose. If they don't, Queensland win.
It's interesting with, just mindset with Nathan Cleary, in the fact that I love the way he plays really gun barrel straight and gets up all the way to the line. I'd like to see him just vary a little bit, because I actually think my feeling will be that Billy will say to the centre, Shibasaki and Toya, get up quick, rush, a little bit, sometimes preempt outside in. If he starts advancing the ball to the line, don't sit back, get up in their face.
So you think what? Because that Penrith spine and like Luai back in, they played a little Penrith-ish?
I think sometimes, I just thought, I saw particularly Robert Toya sometimes preempting outside in, and I think, given that, sometimes you don't need to take the ball all the way in the line. I think Nathan should vary how far he comes in. Yeah. Sometimes you go one step and then just get rid of it. It might catch him in no man's land. So just a bit of variation there.
And I think the key defensively for Queensland for New South Wales would be they've just got to stop the spine running the ball. Yeah. They've got to stop Munster running. Like, he had 15 carries or something. Yeah. Like, you just can't let him do that.
And Coops, in Sydney, in the conditions, as you know, you go, of course, stadium at this time of the year, night football is a wet weather game almost, and that suits run first past second. Yeah,
and if they put all their eggs on trying to stop Munster, which they will, someone like Harry Grant needs to take advantage of that. Like, he was dangerous early on, but he needs to be dangerous for 80 minutes.